When I started making these videos about a couple of years ago, uh, even I was not impressed by my videos and the way I used to look into the camera or the way I used to talk and the pace at which I used to talk. I was not so impressed by the conversations that I was making online and the volume, the pitch and tonality. Well, I was not totally impressed by it. uh, and then I had messages from a couple of people. Some would appreciate my courage, but some would be very critical of my the way I was talking. And I had criticism. And uh, but then I was very clear about why I'm here, the reason I'm doing all these things. And I have to tell you that I was inspired by Swami Vivekananda in 1997 when I studied about him. And before I turned a monk in Sri Ramakrishna Math, Hyderabad. And I was so amazed at this person who could travel across the world and impress, or rather influence lakhs of people from across the world, without having all this digital technology and everything. And I was drawn towards his work and personality. And I was surprised at how somebody could do it. And I really wanted to understand understand how he could generate that level of influence. And I spent around 25 years of my work trying to understand how such great personalities develop this aura, this influence. And well, I had my own setbacks. I had my own learnings. But here's the most important thing that I would tell all my speakers, trainers and coaches and leaders from across the world. I consider them as my fraternity. And I would like to tell you that if you believe that you have a message, if you believe that there is something that you identify as a gap, and that you feel that at least some help from you can fill this gap and bridge this gap and serve someone. Well, if you feel that you have learned something from your life, from your own experiences, and you have wisdom and your insights which you go out and you find that your friends often appreciate you for the kind of insights that you share, and for the brilliance that you bring to the table, then I believe that it's time you launched yourself. I believe that it's time you started sharing your message. I believe that it's time you declared yourself as an expert on that. Because as an expert, we are not comparing ourselves with anybody else in this world. We are just trying to serve the people who need our assistance, who need our help, who need our advice, and who need our suggestions, and who need our intervention. And you never know when somebody comes across your work and is impacted deeply. I have written a couple of books. And even after writing 2 or 3 books, I was not owning the value of my own creation until very recently. And I was surprised a day when an expert from Gujarat sent me a message that he bought a copy of my book online from Amazon. And he was really benefited, so much so that he couldn't control his eagerness to share his appreciation with me. He found my number out and he texted me that how my book has impacted his life. In the past, I had written a book called Crack the Creation Code, and this book really impacted. It was a very simple small book of a few insights that I shared. But I am so happy that it went out into the market. A couple of people have read it and got impacted, so much so that they reached out to me and shared that feedback with me. So my question to you is, what is the book that's waiting inside you? What is the message that's waiting inside you? and what is that service that is waiting inside you, which, if you let it out, would definitely help at least one person on this planet to transform themselves, to transform their life, to transform the lives of people they touch and they influence in their own work, at their own work, or through their own creation. So one of the biggest lessons that I have learned is that, you know not sharing your message is a kind of disservice. And yes, there is going to be criticism, there are going to be comments, and there are going to be remarks which you won't be happy of. But again, I come back to to the learning that I acquired in my life. It's that we, as humanity, as human beings, we are meaning making machine. And as meaning making machines, what do? We make meaning from everything that happens in our life. We are interpreting machines, and we keep interpreting. And how we choose to interpret is a choice. So yes, you have this ancestral brain which is going to get triggered when somebody doesn't appreciate your video, when somebody doesn't appreciate your message, and when somebody passes a comment which is sarcastic or which is not encouraging, and you might get hurt, most definitely. But again, I would invite you to be prepared for any kind of feedback, as long as you take it as a constructive feedback. And believe you me, when you keep creating these videos the way I kept creating, now I have more than 210 videos on my YouTube channel, Authentic Influence. And the reason I kept creating my videos, and I keep inviting international experts on my podcast, Moments with Masters. And there is a philosophy that I believe in, and I connect with only people who fit into my framework, and I invite them. And I have been making my own videos. And believe you me, when you keep doing that, it becomes something that you start enjoying. It becomes something that becomes very effortless and natural. And there comes a time when you feel that every time you have an insight, you feel that you want to share it, because now you know how to scale your service. And with all the gadgets, you know in your palms, I believe that people would be benefited from any corner of this world. And what's holding you back is, in most cases, is our own judgment. And if we only let our guards down, if we only allow some more space, I'm sure people are going to help you, and people are going to reach out to you. People are going to connect with you when they find your message, when they connect with your message. And I would want to remind you of this international marketing expert, Seth Godin. There were times when publishers did not accept his work, but he started writing his own blog. Well, now he would post. He has been posting one article every single day for over 10 years, and now he is the go-to person. He is one of the biggest influencers, and I would call him one of the biggest authentic influencers in the domain of marketing. But remember, he was a person when the publishers rejected his work. And so today he is one of the biggest experts. But the question is, where does he draw his authority from? He draws his authority from his creation. He draws his authority from his commitment to put out his work every single day. And he draws his experience from his clarity, that his experience comes from within. He has been heard several times saying that I don't go back to even check the reviews on the websites like Amazon or anywhere to check the reviews of his own book. He says, once I have created because I trusted it. I have created because I loved it and I wanted it's my intention, and my intention was to serve people. And once I've done it. It's created already. Now you can't undo that. So once I've done it, I am not even going through the reviews about the product. I'm actually focused on the next product. And this is how you own your authority. This is how you own your power. When you are looking, when you trust that creation happens inside out, when you follow that nudge, and when you are committed to create and put your work out into the world, you become the perfect channel for divinity to express itself through. So the first step, if you want to position yourself as an expert, if you want to build authentic influence, and if you really want to create lasting impact on the lives of hundreds and thousands of people you and your work will touch, then it's time you started expressing who you truly are and what you are truly capable of creating. And that's going to happen when you make that first video, when you record that first podcast, when you write that first word on the paper, and when you go out and put this work out and tell the world that I am here.